Hello. I will speak a little bit about our research on sustainability. We started to study sustainability 7 years ago as a cross-research area. And I tried to explain how we are trying to link this subject with innovation and project management. But also I will try to show some figures about USP and Polytechnic School because several of you asked some information about us. So that's what I intend to discuss today. Project management and sustainability, some of our research results. I tried to make some link between DSM and sustainability. I think it's a research gap. As I get from the literature review, it's just a few works trying to make this link and try to building this bridge between these two areas. And finally, some conclusions. So a little bit about University of São Paulo. University of São Paulo was founded in 1934, and more than 42 schools, more than 300 undergraduate programs, about 200 graduate programs, more than 5,000 professors, 95,000 students, undergraduates and graduates. We are responsible for 22% of the national scientific production, measured in terms of the published papers, index, journal, and in patents. So, and we are the leading university in Latin America, considering several ranks. So, it's an important university in Latin America. That's our school. It was older than University of São Paulo. The Civil Engineering and Mechanics was founded in 1893. And we have two campuses, São Paulo and Santos. And there are another engineering school that in São Carlos, but is not related to our management, so are different schools. And about 5,000 undergraduate students and 1,500 graduate students. So we have, if I'm not wrong, 13 kind of engineering courses in our school. So now about this, the Project Management Lab. It was created in 2009, and we have 23 research, considering professor, postdoctoral researchers, PhD students, master, and undergraduate students. We have been supported by several Brazilian agents, and we have applied for some fund abroad. So British Council and Newton Fund links also support some of our recent research. So, and we have strong relation with the industry sector too. We have at least 5 companies that support our group. So some faces, some of them you have already seen during these days. And I picked just the people that are more related to innovation and to sustainability. As I mentioned before, we started 7 years ago, try to put sustainability in our core areas. I have this group is related to innovation, project, and PDP, different subject, portfolio, risk, competence risk, competence to open innovation, different subjects, but related to innovation. And I picked 2 of them to work with mix subject relating to PDP and eco-design and sustainability and project management. So they are like a matrix we have, so they are from this group, but also related to the other group that work on sustainability, more related to strategic subject. I will not talk about the others one. So, some results we have achieved during these 7 years. So how did we started to try to put sustainability, innovation, and PM and NPD? We have a teaching book. The first edition was published in 2004. And when we are about to publish the third edition in 2011, now we are in the fourth edition, we decided to discuss sustainability in project management. We thought that it's impossible we give up of this discussion in PM area. So we started to propose a framework in our book with some kind of creativity approach, because at this time we didn't have yet PhD students who work on it. So we proposed, based on our consultant experience, based on our background on PM and sustainability, we propose a theoretical framework instead of our main framework on project management and sustainability that we use in a lot of research and as a meta model of our group to work research subjects in project management. So I will explain a little bit more this first step. So we put a chapter on this third edition when we propose a model, but it was part of our main model. We start to understand sustainability as a leading process, but also as a lagging indicator. So in project management, we are moving from the IR triangle as a way to operationalize project success, and we are using more and more a 5-dimension approach proposed by Schenher and Divir. It has been used in several papers in project management area to operationalize project success. So we suggest a 60 dimension related to social and environment success as a lagging indicator also. So because the economic part of sustainability is well designed by Schenher model. They have the impact for future business and the impact on present business, so we don't need to discuss the economic dimension because it's already proposed. And our framework work on different unit of analysis, depend of the PhD research. They are working on the project level. Some of them are working in the organizational level. So we also use contingent approach in our research, considering different sectors, different firm sizes, and different type of projects. So we try to understand this in a contingent way. So the first more academic result we propose in this paper published in 2015 in International Journal of Production Research. It's really research on risk management. The core subject of the article is risk management and how the soft side of risk management has impact on success. But we, in this first more confirmatory study, we suggest the environment and social dimension for operationalize the 60 dimensions of project success. So we this time we propose in a research paper use these 60 dimensions. So we are working in a theoretical paper when we link this dimension with the Carnot diagram to understand how they can impact and benefit how we can understand these 5 different dimensions in different contexts for success. But we are still work on this frame. It's already proposed in the book, but we are still work on the research side of this. During these 5 years, we perform a survey, try to prove our model, and we have more than 200 research projects involved in this sample, and we submitted. International Journal of Project Management is that has a call on special issue on sustainability and project management. It's supposed to be published next year, in the beginning of next year. We have already a paper approved. I will show later. And this one is in the review phase. I need to send the revised version up to the end of this month. So we use structural equation modeling to prove the structural model, but for us it was very, very important to validate the measurement model, because we have an assessment tool that is available on our website for companies and projects try to see how sustainable is the project management they are performing. So when in this research we could validate the measurement model, the scales, and so on, it was very comfortable for us, because it has some confidence that the theoretical frame that we get in mind, it is really robust. So that will be published hopefully in January. And we have an assessment tools, a simple, the people fulfill a questionnaire in a Google survey, and they receive by email the results, the maps, and so on. It's a simple tool in Portuguese. Unfortunately, I don't have English version. But we are using this for some time. Our model is not really linked with project management body of knowledge. Another PhD students make assessment tool more related to this body of knowledge. I will show soon. So, as I mentioned, I picked 3 PhD students, Sandra, Fabian Bruns, and Mauro Martins, to work on this subject 4 years ago. Now, these 2 are PhDs now, both of them. Mauro is already a professor in a private school. And we start to make a lot of systematic literature review to try to find a specific gap for each one. And we make some content analysis. We have 3 or 4 papers related to this first exploratory phase of the research. And we really were confident that that's an important gap, and we deserve 3 PhDs work on it. And some time ago, Sandra left and moved for more strategic perspective, work on performance and sustainability. So just Fabian and Mauro Martins stay with the link between innovation and sustainability, and PM and sustainability. So now we are talking about Mauro PhD thesis. Here we use article-based thesis. It's 5 articles for thesis, and these 4 papers are the most important of Mauro PhD thesis. We start with a theoretical framework, as always, and he performed a literature review and expert panel with research of USA, Europe, in Brazil. In USA, we have the luck to have Schenher, to have Tanhen. Mauro stays sometimes with Tanhen in Bentley, and it is the paper we publish in Project Management Journal. It's approved to be published in Project Management Journal. And we start a multi-method approach. So he performs some cases, more exploratory case studies in Brazil and in the US, and a confirmatory research based on a survey he performed. So, but it's the survey he performs more linked with the project management perception of the main variables, how they work on the priority in sustainability in project management. So it's about 150 the sample respondents. So the first step is this paper published in Journal of Cleaner Production last year. And we performed 4 cases, and we try to understand, as I mentioned, how the people work on project in different kind of companies understand the sustainability as a core area to be linked with PM process, and how they measure the success on sustainability of their projects. So we started to understand this in more exploratory way, and try to understand how they use this dimension in daily routines in project management. And also we try to understand if they see some relations between the use of and the success of the project in different dimensions. So most of the people understand that there is a contribution and its importance and so on. The other paper is ahead in International Journal of Project Management. It will be part of the special issue, and it's the exploratory factor analysis based on the survey. And when we try to extract the main factors on the project manager perspective. So we could extract these 4 factors, and we explain in depth in the paper. But we have one dimension more related to sustainability in business model. Stakeholder management stood out in this project manager perception. And also some environment policies and resource saving. It's another important drive for the PM, the project manager. And for sure, the economic and competitive advantage also is important too. But most of the project manager surveyed, we found this subject that stood out in the moment. For sure, we also found in this research, is not published yet, that there is strong lack on the use of environment tools and the social perspective, including fair working contracts and diversity and so on. So in the process, there are huge gaps. What is not the intention of this paper, but the last paper that is still submitted. And we are trying to show this gap on the daily by day use of the potential of sustainability practices in project management. So despite people think it's important, they use just a little. This is the paper in Project Management Journal. And we use analytical hierarchical process to design the main weights for each of these area and indicators. We make different hierarchy for sustainable project management and for the different dimensions of project success. And the expert was invited to discuss and show weights and show the importance for each of the variables in our main framework. After that, we use this framework in a confirmatory research using also structural equation modeling. This final paper is not yet published. And as I mentioned before, he also performed an assessment tool. People from companies love assessment tools. And this one is really linked with the core knowledge areas of project management, body of knowledge, and the main process. So it's detailed process, each group, process group, and each knowledge area, how they dialogue with sustainability criteria. So this assessment is focused on companies that are using project management, body of knowledge. So they can have different reports based on what they want to analyze, considering process, considering areas, and considering different pillars of the triple bottom line. So now we are moving from the other side, that's trying to link eco-design and PDP. It was the work of Fabian Bruns. He is from eco-design area, and it was a different kind of research. It was an insider action research. It was a 5-year research on a cosmetic company. It's a leading company on sustainability area. And during this period, it's insider action research, because actually he was part of this company. And during these 5 years, we tried to link, first of all, we tried to link the eco-design on the PDP process of this company. And after that, we also tried to link project management area, because it's interesting when we started to work and we start to perform the cases in different companies. That is really a hole between these areas. So, as we mentioned yesterday during Tyson's presentation, people from PM area has the body of knowledge guidelines. PDP area has the guideline and the stage gate God to follow. And people from eco-design have the ISO 14040 to follow, and the guidelines. And the link between them inside the company is practically a hole. So it's impossible, because the 3 areas are work on innovation. So it's impossible that they have different frameworks, different terminologies. It's really crazy. So during this period, in this insider action research, we work a lot to understand how to link it. So It's also a article-based thesis, né? But the focus of Fabian is try to take all this framework. Most of them are in applying in the company. We make this action research and try to get them together, to dialogue, and to one be an input for the other, and so on. So the first paper was published in 2014, I don't remember anymore. But we make 3 cases, if I'm not missing any case, and we started to looking at the eco-design technicalities, what I say, the body of knowledge that are in the ISO 14040 group of series of standards, and the more strategic level, the mission, the core of sustainability. It's in this company, particularly, sustainability is really in the mission, in the vision, in the whole business design. So they have a lot of work on a more strategic perspective and a lot of work on technicalities, but they don't dialogue. And we saw an important opportunity for project management here. So we started to make a bridge between these 2 areas through project management. After that, we take all the frameworks on eco-design and put together, try to analyze the main variables and constructs related, and use as a background all the methodologies on PDP and PM that is not core for sure for eco-design, but need to be on the base and to be integrating these different areas. It was published last year. So it was the first step of the framework, the eco-design transition model. That's what we propose in the end of the thesis. So we understand that we need to link all the process related to PDP, but we need to link different organizational levels, micro, meso, and macro levels. And for sure, we need to related this with the change management process. So the soft side we use in different areas in our group, as I mentioned, in risk management and so on. We try to understand the transition approach for this movement on a more integrated eco-design, innovation, and project management approach. A 4th paper, it's approved to be published on cleaner production also. We work on the more change management transition part, so we deploy all the contents of the frames, and in this action research we explore different approach as nudging, as organizational, more organizational theory, but also we picked the transition management approach to link with our model, and we experiment several actions in this company, using as an integrative way to use different kind of tools related to eco-design. So we perform encyclopedia on eco-design. It's a kind of showroom. People can touch different options of package and so on. There is an online mindset that people can try to create different get different ideas for a solution of a specific problem on packing and so on. They also made a lot of workshop on creative way using design thinking approach and try to put these ideas on the PDP groups, because the PDP group was really resistant to use most of the techniques of eco-design. Just the brand more related to sustainability, it was more part of the use of this kind of techniques. The other product line is not so using this tools. So we started this process to motivate, to engage people. So it was an important part of this final model. And the final model mixes all these different steps of the research, the more theoretical part, the more applied part. That's for sure a very technical part related to eco-design, supporting PDP during all the phases of the PDP process. And we put all together in a stack pyramid, and this is the final model. When we work on different levels, we have deploy it in variables and constructs in each level, and in different ways to understand. It's a pattern E and a pathway, because the transition model. So we, after these 5 years, we could at least propose an integration of these 3 areas and try to put together and to reduce the distance between this area and make bridges between this area, create integration between this area through this model that consider not just the technicalities, but also the transition part of the process, and also the traditional design process that need to link these three areas. So that's the main idea of this final model. For sure, all these papers and the thesis, if you want, we can share with you. I think people that are really involved with this area can use. Now, the hardest part of the presentation. When we proposed the title of the proceeding, Sustainability in Modern Project Management, I was very comfortable because we are working on it for the last 7 years. So, but when I tried to understand this subject in the perspective of DSM theory, it was really and it's really not addressed by the group that studied DSM. I use your keywords in your paper to try to make some kind of guessing in the literature review. I use the Web of Science to make an interactive understand of what people are using of sustainability in DSM literature. So that's what we will try to show you. I get in DSM, in Web of Science, 243 papers, just articles and review. I don't take proceedings. Despite some proceedings are considered article in Web of Science, some of them appear in this kind of search. And I take all the metadatas, the abstracts, and so on, of all these papers, and this is the first way to understand. Did you see any word related to sustainability on the keywords used by these 243 articles? Not a word. Oh, but when we use the keywords, we use the core words related to my articles. For sure it's not core. Let's try the abstracts. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . And now, for better sustainability, for no way people say anything about sustainability on this kind of paper. Okay? So I think, for one side, it's maybe not related. We can read like that, but we can read like it's a huge research opportunity. And after read some papers that after use some kind of search approach, I find some papers and read more in depth how they are guessing this link. I understand that we have some opportunities here. Besides, for sure, it's not a core subject for DSM, in different way to understand DSM, but we can use DSM to promote mainly integration between different life cycles, for instance, and we can use also in the multi-criteria clustering approaches, the TBL indicators, TBL index. So there still have a lot of opportunities. For sure, it's not core, but I think it can be used and it can be interesting, can be designing interesting research on this. So I use all the keywords in your paper. I take it because for sure you think a lot about them. And I started to link these words with sustain, with an asterisk, because we can take sustainability, sustainable, and so on. And I found just eight articles. And sustainability. But sustainability is a terrible word, because when you put sustainability, it's thousands and thousands of paper. But when we reach this, it's really a huge gap. So, and let's try life cycle. Life cycle, maybe it's more related to. And I found 23. But when I look at the articles, it was really product life cycle, but not related to environment and sustainability. So just a few of these 23, actually these ones that are in the other search are really related to sustainability, considering the triple bottom line. And I try also environment, maybe. Social I give up, because the results are really fuzzy. But on environment also, DSM have a lot of research on organizational context. So most of this environment is organizational context, so not related to sustainability. That's what we are trying to understand. If we have a link, it's a promising research subject and so on. These are the 8 articles we found. Some of them, they are trying to promote the link between environmental life cycle and product life cycle. And 2 of them are proposing just as a criteria in a cluster algorithm for related to sustainability. And most of the first one is really not related to sustainability, but discuss the importance for sustainability, the competence for sustainability, but in a very vague way, so not really related to. And in our conference, we have one paper related to subjects linked with sustainability. It's DSM applying to policy makers related to research constraints and so on. So we will see this on the section in this afternoon. So I hope they have more interest in sustainability and try to use this for sustainability backcasting, for instance. I think it's you can use the sustainability approach in backcasting, and so we can use DSM in this kind of backcasting. Aline smile because he worked on backcasting. Yeah. Okay. So, based on this adventure on Web of Science database, I guess that some promising areas for DSM, not just DSM and the other keywords related, mainly in domain, maybe, can be used to perform integration, because these metrics can related life cycle, environmental life cycle, and social life cycle. We can make this bridge through domain metrics. I think it's a promising area, maybe, but it's up to you. You are researchers on DSM. And I think this kind of integration can result in fruitful research for you. And for sure, make easy the work we have had in the eco-design transition model. Because there, all the environment and social life cycle is practically making in hand basis, not in a systematic way. So it's important for companies to have a systematic way to link it. So maybe you are interested in do this. And I read a lot of papers on DSM, and most of them use the IR triangle as efficiency index. And why not use some kind of index related to TBL, including some kind of index related to environment or social impact of different phases of the life cycle. We can use to map the evolution in dynamic DSM. So it's a possibility. I didn't find any paper that use TBL in a linked way in this kind of research. So I'm finished. And as a conclusion, for sure, I think it have interesting link. Most of the points, I think it's more interesting to work. It's in the integration of different life cycles. It's in trying to put TBL in multi-criteria optimization. There are a few papers, too, that already use environment criteria. And DSM, this I think it's more linked with, because there is a lot of papers on DSM related to competence, to organizational design. So it's more easy to make the bridge between DSM stakeholders looking for the social part of sustainability, external and internal stakeholders. So it could be an interesting link, and DSM has already a background on this integration, organizational and competence soft side too. And for sure, this afternoon we will discuss with our colleague the possibility of integration of DSM and policy formulation for sustainability. I warn you that's not easy to work on sustainability, because the different areas has different backgrounds, has different nomenclature, terminologies, and so on. It's difficult to link it, because people are resistant from this research group for the other to see this kind of work. The resistance is going down, but it still exists. And it's very difficult to personalize the construct. Most of the construct can be seen in different ways for different research groups. So how to operationalize? It's difficult in a research, and it's the main decision you have to have in in the process of formulation of the research. So it's not an easy area to work, but it's a promising area because it's an area that there is a research gap, so we need to try to fill. So I'd like to invite you to visit our website. There is an English version. It's not so much content that in the Portuguese area, but most of the papers are available in this website. And some videos from another conference, some of them are in English. So thank you.